What is up, everybody? This is Brandon with Rock Video Rental, and I'm going to be starting a new mini series for the YouTube channel called Slasher Quest. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge fan of slasher movies, and man, it's probably about 10 years ago that I started my quest to try to watch every single 80s slasher film that I can. I'm probably about 150 movies in, and there's no end in sight. So I thought I would start like cataloging some of these in a way that I can share my experiences with them. So let's get started. The first slasher I wanted to talk about is actually a 90s slasher. It's from 1991. It's called Camp Fear. Little known, but it does star Betsy Russell, who is kind of veteran of the genre, and she was in a lot of B movies in the 80s, mostly playing like the vixen type. Even now, she's like aged incredibly well. She's still very good looking. Um, this movie is probably one of the dullest that I've ever seen. But there's a lot of things going on at the same time. It moves along pretty quickly from the beginning, and I will say that this movie holds the record for probably most topless women I have seen in a non-porn movie in the first 10 minutes. I didn't count, but there's got to be at least 10 topless girls in this movie, which is really weird because the rest of the movie, there's like little to no nudity. There's really not even much in the way of vulgar language. I mean, you get your share of gore, so it deserves the R rating, and especially for that first 10 minutes. Uh, it changes direction so many times. It's very has a very uneven tone. Um, like it starts off this group of friends that are gonna go camping. I know it's extremely original for the genre. They go into the woods and they meet uh like this guy who has a store out in the middle of nowhere and this biker gang, and there's just like so many characters just thrown in left and right, and it's really hard to keep track of them. It's scattered as heck. uh Maybe not the first, like the best slasher to be talking about with the first episode, because this is going to come out very scattered, but believe me, the movie itself is scattered. um Once they get out in the woods, strange things are happening. Your typical slasher fare. Oh, there's a noise over here. What's that? But then they stumble across like this Indian medicine man, and he's warning them about something going on in the woods. They shouldn't go out there. Earlier in the film, they kind of meet this drunkard too at the store, and he's explaining, "Oh, there's a demon in that woods," and like, he's the typical like crazy Ralph character from Friday the 13th. Nobody believes him. Of course, he knows a little bit more. And now with the warning from the medicine man, the smarter ones of the group start taking more note of it, while the other ones are like, "Oh, let's party, let's get drunk." And this teacher that they're with, he too is like starting to worry, but he wants to continue on with their plan of they're like studying rocks or something. It's an extremely like thin premise. And of course, we get this killer that comes out of nowhere, and the first few times they show him, he's only shown in blue light, and he's bald. And I jokingly said he looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin. He's kind of a cross between that and Frankenstein, because he's got like these random like scars and stuff all over his face. He looks completely and utterly ridiculous. They finally started showing him a non-blue light probably after 5 minutes of his introduction, and basically he just goes through and he's killing them one by one. It's really nothing new. Uh, it's about as cliche as you can get, and it's kind of a product of its time. I mean, early 90s weren't really known for slasher films. The late 80s started bringing in the direct to video stuff, and this kind of falls in that area. If you've seen anything from the late 80s slasher wise, that's is not going to bring anything new to the table. none of the characters really stand out. I mean, it's a good looking cast, which is, that's what happens with slasher films. So, there's never going to be like this outlier that's not, doesn't have the model looks. There's a few here and there. Shelly from Friday the 13th Part 3 is one. It comes off the top of my head. But, you get your good looking 20 somethings, some maybe even 30 somethings playing teenagers, or in this case, college students. And they get taken out one by one by a slasher. Not really much else to talk about with this film. It's another one I could mark off my list. I do have a grading system for the slashers that I do watch. And this one kind of falls down towards the bottom of it. I can explain it a little bit. I base things off from the special effects, the acting, the plot, the ending, the killer, the kills, and the replay value. Uh, and that's anywhere from a 1 to a 10. And then I take those and I make an average. So the average number for this one was a 3.0. Not the greatest. You got to take into account too that many of these slasher movies aren't very good. A movie that I would give a 10 is like the original uh, Halloween. I believe has the highest rating in my scale. Sometimes I'll share my scale and everything with all of you so you can see, kind of how I rate things. Maybe do a top 10 of my highest rated. But this one falls towards the bottom. It is not the worst I've ever seen. It's definitely not the best I've ever seen, but it was entertaining, I will say that. If you're into lots of nudity in your slasher movies, maybe even if it's just the first 10 minutes, then Camp Fear might be for you. For me, like I said, it gets a 3 out of 10. I'm not sure how many times I'll rewatch this, but I did have fun watching it the one time. I hope you guys enjoyed this like short little show. I'll do more of these in the future, but as for now, be kind and rewind.